Hello Proponomics people, and welcome to the video from the 25th of April 2024. We've got a couple of things to catch up on this week because I've been busy running our property business workshop with Rod Turner in London yesterday. We had a fantastic attendance and a great day. If you don't want to miss the next one, it's on the 4th of July, so save the date for that one right now. But back to the economics and property stuff. So we had some figures earlier in the week about public sector net borrowing. It wasn't overly surprising, so we borrowed a bit more than expected last month. Only a couple of billion. Imagine missing your expected targets for borrowing by a couple of billion. That would be a fair struggle. Even if you drill that down and a scale factor of a number of times into a household, it'd be a big shock to any of us. But of course, the economy just gets on with it. And then we had the PMI flash numbers, and regular listeners will know I'm very keen on the PMIs. So the flash numbers are exactly what they say. They're an immediate pulse. They're basically the best guess for the month of April. So we don't have too much real-time data at all to work from. And I love real-time stuff. It's one of the reasons why I also love Chris Watkins' stats that he posts from the broader 20 EA data that he has access to about the broader housing market. It gives us an idea of what's going on right now, rather than waiting sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes longer. Then there's revisions. When we get stuff from the ONS, sometimes we're working a quarter or more in lag. And the reality is those of us running real-time businesses have not got the luxury of the time to wait for that stuff to happen, especially when we've had up and down scenarios like we had in 2023, where we effectively had this technical recession, but now we know we're well out of it, although we haven't got full confirmation of that until we get March's GDP figures, technically. But the flash PMIs were out on Tuesday this week, and there was a bit of a surprise print to the upside. Everybody knows services is a really significant part of the UK economy, sort of 75% plus these days. So really, the whole PMI is almost dominated by the services flash PMI, really, anyway. And that print in the services was 54.9. Now, that is really, getting towards roaring territory. Anything above 55 will really start to accelerate. But that feels fairly hot, fairly potentially inflationary, apart from anything else, and because it dominates quite so much of the economy, that's something we just have to consider in our inflation predictions, apart from anything else. The consensus was 53, so we missed by nearly 2 whole points to the upside. The previous print was 53.1, so people thought things were going to calm down. They had taken a little bit off in March. It was a flatter month in March, but it looks like April is going great guns at the moment, and this is in the face of really significant price rises, apart from anything else, in terms of the cost of wages. Although obviously, the concentration of minimum wage workers is not primarily in the services industry necessarily. It's in part of the services industry in terms of hospitality and things like that. But a lot of professional services at the broader level are not really troubled too much by the minimum wage. I'm still expecting some significant increases though, because like I said, it pretty much is 75% of our economy on the business side of things. So it makes a significant difference. Manufacturing's printed a bit more disappointed than expected because we had hit the magic 50.3, sort of break-even kind of territory. It's back down to 48.7. Not a complete disaster, but not really moving forward as anybody would hope they would. Consensus was the same print, 50.3, so that missed to the downside. But that gave us a composite print of 54, which is, I've said in the past, 53 is really where the yardstick is for things going pretty well, bumbling along / doing okay, maybe a bit better than okay. So 54 is obviously a pretty good sign. And then yesterday we had the CBI Business Optimism Report and the index. So the main thing that the city looks at is the business optimism in general. It's been around -3 for the past few months. That's something I've been describing as getting towards cautiously optimistic, because it was much, much more negative in 2023. It actually moved to +9, so a positive print, which was great. The CBI themselves weren't overly effusive or bullish about that. They remained quite calm. There were a few bits that didn't go so well. Industrial trends ordering moving downwards, the other major one that the city looks at in there. So on one side, business is feeling more confident. Bit of a sign that maybe the soft landing or the no landing scenario, which is becoming more of a popular prediction, is on. I still feel uncomfortable about that, and I certainly think there's a good 50% probability that something else, some demons are in the machine, or just the lag of when finally some of this fixed debt starts to drop off. For some companies, that'll be years in the future, but obviously it's dropping off for householders and for landlords every day if they were on fixed rate mortgages. And even for those of us who made some very bold predictions in 2022 that turned out to be correct and took some action, like me, and broke a lot of their debt. They only broke their debt up until a certain point in time. We chose June 2024, so we're currently going through back to our significantly busy process of lots and lots of remortgaging to consider. We're back to our almost normal situation. Of course, we've had significant rent rises, but we're also facing significant cost increase pressures still based on the new world of everything having been inflated by 20 or 25%. So that's where we are. We also had the car production figures this morning, year on year. Massive drop, 27.1% down. No one was expecting that. The last was 15% up or so, and the thoughts were it'd probably be up about 10-12%. Big drop, 27.1. Not sure if there's anything too serious to read into that though, because it can be significant flux, and whether that takes into account that ultimately, apart from anything else, not a lot of cars produced in March necessarily, because all the cars for the new number plate release are already produced by then. I don't know the industry well enough, but that's where we are. So that's a quick economics update. We haven't got too much more to come this week in terms of economics updates before we get to the supplement. So I'm going to be drinking all that in, looking in some more detail at the weekend at the flash report from the S&P, and also looking in some more detail at the business optimism report and putting some more colour around that on Sunday's work. And tomorrow I will be using my video to continue my 4 pillars of investment series. So thanks for watching. See you then.